Alison, let me know if I can start sharing. Can you see my slides? Anyone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll give everyone a minute to get in. Maybe just wait another minute.
I think we'll go ahead and get started, Elaine. So I know you have a
Sounds
lot of
good.
great content and we want to see if there's some time for questions as well. So why don't we go ahead and get started?
Awesome.
So hello, everyone, and welcome to the session, Strategies to Thrive in a Male-Dominated Workplace with Elaine Montilla. My name is Margaret Kelleher. I'm the Director of Colleague Success here at VMware, and I will be your moderator today. Please use the chat for interactive conversation with other attendees, and please use the Q&A tab for any questions. So Elaine is an Assistant Vice President and CIO for Information Technology at the Graduate Center, CUNY, a Forbes Technology Council member and contributor, and an AMA Women's Leadership Center presenter. She is an accomplished senior executive with 2 decades as an IT leader in higher education. She is also a TEDx speaker and the founder of 5xminority.com, a company and social media brand dedicated to empowering women and minorities, especially in tech. It is my pleasure to turn the session over to Elaine.
Thank you so much, Margaret. I'm so excited to be here with you today. And I want you to know that I like to focus on tips. I want to give you actionable items. And so I want to get to the point. And hopefully you can have some questions for me at the end. So quickly, I want to share what I think most of you already know. What are the current trends? Men continue to dominate STEM, which I'm very upset about. And I'm working hard to change that. The share of degrees is smaller for women of color in the US, and the tech industry still lacks a lot of women in senior leadership. I attended a conference last year in Chicago, and I literally had girls come up to me and say, "Oh my God, you're a CIO. I got it. Can I take a picture with you?" And I wanted to cry, but I didn't want them to see that. So I'm hoping that I can give you some skills to change that. Some of the roadblocks that we face now, to me, one of the biggest ones is unconscious bias, because a lot of us, I want to say us, don't even know we have them. We grow up with a lot of conditioned thinking. And so that combined with some discrimination in the workplace makes it unbearable sometimes. I read an article that shared that 40% of women in tech leave after just 10 years because of the lack of support and mentorship. And so flexible work policies, I think COVID changed some of that, and I'm hoping that it stays that way, because we have proven that we could do everything we need to do from home. Hiring practices is another problem. Not being able to remove names from resumes or even the year when someone graduated is affecting some candidates, and the lack of mentor and sponsorship. So why don't we get to the strategies, because this is where I think you're going to be taking some notes, and we can have more conversation after this workshop if you have more questions. So the first one for me is making sure that I made friends with fear. Something that I want you to know is that I actually was born and raised in the Dominican Republic, and I moved to the US after high school at the age of 17. I did not speak a word of English, and so I had to learn a new language. I had to learn a new culture. I even got a new name. My name was Elaine, and overnight people started calling me Elaine, which I didn't even know that was my name in English. And so I had to spend a lot of time understanding where my fears were coming from, and some of the tools that help me deal with that. And I'm going to be saying that a lot. I want to give you tools for everything that I'm talking about. So for me, meditation is a huge one. And I think I could mention meditation for each strategy that I have here. Just being able to slow down my brain and have some time so that I can think, help me understand, okay, there is fear. Where is it coming from? What is happening? And something that I always share is that fear is always a message. It's a message that tells you that what you're about to do is really important, that you really care about the next step you're taking. And so it's good to not fight it and just let it come in. I think Dr. Brene Brown says, fear could be there and play music in the radio, but not change the station because I'm in charge. And so I always remember that. Um, the second one, and one that I think is a big problem for a lot of women, is trying to find the right mentor or sponsor. And the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure everyone understands the difference between a mentor and a sponsor, because sometimes the names are used interchangeably. So a mentor is someone who will answer questions, is someone who will guide you. It's someone who you can call and rely on if you have a problem. A sponsor, on the other hand, is someone who is using his or her connections to speak on your behalf. And I was extremely lucky that I had both in one same person. And so my last mentor was also my sponsor. And where do you find mentors? I don't think you find mentors. I think they find you. And in my experience, just demonstrating my worth, demonstrating my capabilities is what actually got me more connected to someone saying, you know what, I have interest in you. I could see that you make things happen. You follow through with your commitments. You're on time, and you're really excited about your own growth. And so when people see that in you, it tends to help them ask more questions and say, okay, I have interest in this person. I have never asked someone, can you be my mentor? I always thought that was awkward because you never know where they're coming from. But there are many places to find mentors today. There are actually a lot of groups online. I actually am a mentor in an online group, and so they pair you with somebody based on your skills and background. The other thing that I wanted to share is that you don't have to have only one mentor. I actually have two at this moment. I've had three at the same time, and you can have mentor for different things. I'm gonna call this person because I have an issue here, and I'm gonna call this other person because I have a personal problem with something else. And so don't feel that you have to have only one mentor. And then the last thing I want to say about this is that some mentor-mentee relationships don't work, and don't feel that you have to stay in it. It's okay to say, thank you so much. You have helped me a lot up to this point. I am looking for something different. So don't feel like you have to stay with someone who is actually making you feel uncomfortable, or you don't feel that the relationship is growing. And I've always said that mentorship is a two-way relationship. You want to give as much as you take. The next item that I want to talk about is people pleasing. And I've seen some of the conversations that are happening today. And so I know that this is an important topic. It's really hard, especially for us women, to say no, you know? And for me, early on in my career, when I started as a help desk technician, I wanted to feel that I belong, especially as a Latina who came from another country. I wanted to be part of a bigger group. And I think that's what sometimes makes you feel that you have to say yes to everything because you want to be part of the group. The second reason is you want to be liked. You want them to like you. And so I'm going to speak about my culture. For us Latinas, we grow up being told, be nice, be amicable, smile. And so I think sometimes it's embedded in our brains, and it's hard later on when we enter the workplace and things completely change to understand that, no is a complete sentence. And there is no need to say anything after that. just no works. But of course, there's many other ways of saying thank you so much, maybe later. But I know that a lot of people struggle with saying no. Something else, this is in terms of your relationship with your boss or the person that you report to. Something that I always did is I always had a list of my tasks and responsibilities. Any project that I was working on, I always had a list. And so if my manager called and wanted to give me an additional task, I would bring my list and say, here, this is what I'm working on. What do you want me to remove from the list? Or what do you want me to move down if this is a priority? And I hear other women, sometimes they feel this pressure of, I need to make it happen and I have to make a decision. How about you let them make a decision instead of putting it on yourself? And I think this is perfectly acceptable. I've had people come to me and say, Elaine, I know you want me to work on this and you need it by Sunday. These are the other items that I have. Which one do you want me to move? And I'll be like, thank you so much for letting me know, because sometimes we don't even know how much work other people have. And so take charge and make sure that you have that list and you throw it back at them instead of feeling so responsible for doing everything on your own. Sometimes they don't want to do that to you. Sometimes they don't even know how much work you have. And so part of people pleasing is just wanting to make sure that they could see how amazing we are at our jobs. Something else that I learned, the last one on this list, is making sure that you don't just go, 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 go forever and you make some time for reflection. I think sometimes we tend to finish a project and jump to the next one. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 projects at the same time. But I learned, actually, when I first got into management, I learned the importance of having reflection time. And so every Friday, it doesn't have to be Friday for you, but every Friday, I block an hour on my calendar. And what I do is I go through my list and I ask myself questions. What went well this past week? What needs improvement? Who needs my help? Right? And not only that, do I need to thank someone in my team, right? I run the IT department now as a CIO, and so I have a team of 70 plus employees. And I am very mindful about reflecting at the end of the week and trying to find out who went above and beyond to make something happen this week. Is there a project that we finished? I would email the managers and say, give me a list of everyone who was part of the project. And you don't need to be a manager to do that. You can do that with your peers in your workplace. And not only that, you can do that for yourself. You will see me around the house, high five in the air. I'm actually do it to myself. But if there's no one here, I just do it in the air or a mirror, because I learned how important it is for me to validate myself instead of waiting for others to validate my work all the time. And so try to find some time to ask questions at the end of the week. Maybe you made a mistake, which is perfectly okay. A mistake is a lesson. And so how about asking yourself, what is this here to teach me, right? What was the lesson in this? We don't want to repeat the same mistake over and over again. But when you do make a mistake, it's not a time for you to listen to that voice in your head that's telling you you're crazy. It's a time for you to reflect and say, oh, okay, there must be a lesson here. Let me focus on that and put my energy there instead of telling myself, oh my God, I can't believe you did that. You knew better. You know better. I'm going to move to the next one because I want to make sure I leave some time for the Q&A. Be assertive, not aggressive. This one took me a while to learn. I want to make a disclaimer. There are a lot of things in the workplace that I know are not fair. I know that, but that's not the way it works. And sometimes you have to make a decision and tell yourself, okay, well, this is not fair and I shouldn't have to do that. But okay, for now, I need to do that because I want to make sure that I have a voice and that I need, which I have now as a CIO. I didn't have it when I was a technician. And so it's like a dance, and you will see times when you're going to be pulled to the left or to the right, and you have to make a decision and say, okay, This is not really, I'm not 100% okay with it because it's not fair, but okay, I understand. Let's play the game and let's move forward. So I think one of the training sessions that I've taken in my life that I've gotten the most out of is emotional intelligence. And I would connect that to learning how to be assertive. Um, because when you are in a meeting and an argument starts, usually people stop listening to you. And we don't want that. You want to be strategic, right? You want to find out how can you work with the other person, and you don't have to always agree with everyone in the room. But what can I do to bring about change? How can I focus my energy on something positive instead of reacting to what's happening now? And I'm going to say, meditation and mindfulness help also with that, because at the beginning I used to react instead of respond. And so what I learned is to hear the message that I disagree with, breathe, let it sink in, and then respond. And I think what happens sometimes, we're very emotional about the things that are happening. And it gets in the way because people perceive us the wrong way, even if it's not fair, even if it's not true. That is what's happening in the workplace. That is the culture that as a society we have created, unfortunately. And so be mindful of that. You could say the same message with 5 different tones. Be mindful about the one that you want to use to deliver that message. And you can. It's just a matter of breathing and being present and then finding the best words to respond. The next one is one of my favorites. Trust your skills and collect evidence. I actually wrote an article on my blog about this a few weeks ago. I call it my bragging journal. And so I have a document online. It could be a notepad if you want. I write down every accomplishment in my life. I've had it for over 10 years, and I could go back right now, 10 years ago, and I could see. And so I would say, if you can, collect evidence, write down every project you have completed. And let me tell you why this one is so important. When you go to ask for a raise, go to this document. This is where you're going. When you're going for your annual review with your manager, this is the document you're going to go to, that you're going to submit to your manager and say, this is what I have accomplished in the past 12 months, or this is the reason why I deserve a raise. You will be based, everything that you're saying is going to be based on the facts, instead of, well, I work really hard and I've been here 5 years and I just need a raise or I'm going to leave. No, you want to have a list that you can easily go back to. And then on top of that, the third reason you need this is because if you are updating your resume, this is an easy way of going back and saying, okay, these are the 4 skills that I learned this past year. Let me add this to my resume real quick. Learn to self-promote it's one of the ones that I know from my talks that women have a lot of issues with, especially in my culture for Latinas. We never want to feel like we're showing off. And so it gets in the way of us promoting ourselves. I just want you to know this is a workshop for 1 hour that I'm condensing in 20 minutes. But what I want you to know is that no one can know how good you are if you are invisible to them. You have to find ways to promote yourself, to promote your work. If you completed a project, I want you to go to LinkedIn and write about it. Write about it in your blog. If you don't have a blog and you have time, because I know not everyone has time, how about you create one and you start writing about all the amazing things you have completed? That's how 5X Minority started for me. It started as a blog because I wanted to share information, and then it developed into something else. So remember, if you get a chance during meetings, share with other people what you have completed. That's what men do, and it gets them very far. So I need you to start doing the same thing. Let curiosity lead the way. I always enter a room knowing that there is something I'm going to learn, and I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. I joke with my directors, and I always say I need to hire people that are smarter than me, because I know I don't know everything. And I want you to know this is one of the things that I struggled with when I became a CIO. because I thought I needed to have all the answers. I somehow told myself, you're a CIO, you better know all the answers. And I realized, no, that's a lie. That's not possible. And so focus on the things you're good at and be better at that. And just be curious about everything. Enter a conversation with the need to learn instead of preparing the answer that you're going to give while they're talking to you, which means you're not really listening. The last one is a sign that I have on my door before you enter my office. It says, "Don't believe everything you think." And I think this is a huge one because sometimes our ego, the voice in our head, is preconditioned and it's always talking and we don't know it. Sometimes we don't even know. And there is a lot of negative self-talk that happens, and we don't even know that it's happening. And so it's crucial that we pay attention to that. I know I'm not gonna have time to go over every item here. So if you have questions, I need you to let me know. The one thing I want to leave you with is you need to make some time to network, and network. Business equal relationships means I cannot do everything I want on my own. And I need to build relationships so that other people can help me get where I want to get. You're not going to get there yourself. And you cannot embrace perfection because from the mistakes that you make, that's where the growth comes. And make sure you have time to take care of yourself because we could never give what we don't have. And I want to turn it to Margaret and see if we have anything under Q&A. I'm mindful of the time.
Yes, we do. And thank you, Elaine. That was such a fabulous presentation. Everything you were saying, I'm like, oh, yes, 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 yes. So thank you. It's fabulous. So we're not going to be able to get to all the questions, but let's start with one. How can women support other women?
Oh, that's a good one. And I'm so glad you asked that because sometimes a lot of my conversations revolve around what men are doing to speak over us during meetings or take credit for the work we do. But what I learned is that women do it a lot also. And so I think what happens is that there is a scarcity mindset where we think that if I have this X, and I give another woman an opportunity, then mine is gone. And that cannot be farthest from the truth. There is room for everyone. And something that I do in my blog and on LinkedIn, which you can find me on, is try to amplify the voices of other women. Whenever I do public speaking, I say no if I don't want to do it for free. I say no because I'm thinking of women coming behind me and making sure that they are able to get paid for their work, right? And so I think it's a mindset that needs to be shifted, but it's going to take a while because I think we've been raised in a society that tells us that we cannot all make it. It's either one or nobody. And so it's going to take a while to change that. But I think for every question that I ask like that, I always start with myself. And so if you can't do it yourself, people will watch what you're doing and follow.
Awesome. So the next question is, why do you think you say yes when you really want to say no?
That's a very good question. There are a few reasons. One of them is that we want to be liked. We want to be part of the group, and we don't want people to be mad at us or to think that we're not as good or we're not capable. Another reason is that we don't want to lose our jobs. And if you ask me to do work and I say no and someone else says yes, then okay, they have a few points over you. And it's fear. I think everything is based in fear. It's fear of people not liking us. It's fear of people not thinking that we're capable enough, right? So there is a little bit of that in it. I think there needs to be a lot of work regarding self-love and self-worth so that you know that you have everything you would ever need already within you, and there is no need for competition. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, well, thank you. I know we could go on and on and on, but unfortunately, we are getting close to time. So I'm going to wrap it up at this particular time and just say thank you so much. This has been a fabulous session, and I can understand why it, and we could spend an hour or a lot more talking about all these topics. So thank you so much. This has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you
Thank
to
you for
everybody
having
for
me.
yeah, absolutely. And don't forget to rate the session. Please go ahead and do that. And if you enter your email address, you'll be eligible for some fabulous prizes and enjoy the rest of the conference. Again, Elaine, thank you so very much.